There are 5 participants in the conference. The recording has started. Please announce yourself.
Hi, sorry guys.
We're all back now. Thank you all for coming back. Very, thank you.
Can you hear me on the other end, please?
Yeah, I want to
can you hear me?
You can hear.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, leaders. I don't know why I can't hear myself again. Can you hear me? Okay. It's been an interesting time with all the speakers. I want to say very big thank you for everyone that is here and has been able to say something. I can see Mr. Seun Kuti is here already. Am I correct? Hello? I can't hear anybody, so that's why.
That's Mr. Ayo Moses. Everyone is on mute.
Hello, Ayo Moses is here.
Moses.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ayo Moses. All right, thank you. Well, we're talking about advocacy, which is actually, if we look at what Oneafricaforum is all about, we're advocating for a change in Africa. We want to rethink, we want to rewrite, we want to rebuild Africa and the history of Africa. And
Please unmute yourself, sir. Please unmute yourself. You are a co-host. You should be able to unmute yourself. Okay. I'm fine now.
Yeah, thank you. I'm fine now, yeah. Okay, thank you. So when we look at the word now, it's actually one that talks about advocacy. It's a terminology used for advocating and everything. And I'm very happy, I'm very honored and privileged to be part of Oneafricaforum, of a young, determined, and daring generation. Of course, we know that the generation of our fathers and our forefathers has failed us. Let me say that, has failed us. And then it would be wrong if we fail ourselves and fail the coming generation. So I quickly want to say this. I quickly want to just read this quote and say, when black people are given a chance to tell their history, they only speak of their weakness, weak moments and defeat. When they are given a chance on media, they only do stories, series, movies, or write articles about their bad qualities, bad people in the community. They make sure they humiliate them. But whites never do that. Whites tell their heroes. They tell the great moments, victories. They will never tell their losses, weakness, bad characters, criminal activities. And that is why people don't respect black people or Africa, even though it's a great, strong continent. It is because they don't know what our heroes have done. This is information. is even hidden in our children and generations to come. Before we move on to advocacy and before we allow most the media narrative, has been one very, 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 very bad one that a lot of us have been talking about. So now this is what I say, when we are given opportunity, why do we always talk about the weakness, the bad side of Africa? Why don't we talk about the good side? Why don't we celebrate our heroes? We have a lot of heroes. People have been advocating and been fighting for us since the 90s, since the 70s, since the creation of Africa. Those people are not celebrated. Those people are not put in the forefront. But yet, we are talking about the bad side. But however, still on the code, before I let Mr. Seun come in. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So now, before I bring Mr. Seun in, because of one of his, I read one of his quotes on his Instagram, where he said, I can't really quote it now, but he was talking about, especially when the NSAS crisis was going on in Nigeria, when people were calling on the international community to come support and all of that. And he said, those people are for business. They are not, don't call on them to come and fight for you. Only you can fight for yourself. So I wanted to ask you, with this quote I saw now, Africans must change their mind and action. The keys to building your continent depends on your willpower, persistent effort, and action towards self-liberation, which literally means the power is in our hands. It is we that will speak out. It is we that will fight for ourselves. And that is why the anthem in Nigerian says, "Sorosoke," which means speak loud, speak out. And another quote says, Africa is for Africans, and on those premises, only Africans can change Africa. Western handouts will do nothing. So, talking about advocacy, Mr. Seun, sir, please welcome on board. We want you to take us from here. These are young generations. These are people who are younger, who are vibrant, daring, and determined. And we've seen over time, you have been a role model to most of us. Your father, in fact, is a legacy. There's no way in Africa you want to talk about Africa and you don't mention a fella. And so, and now you as a son is coming in. I saw another post that says that family has given a lot more than the government has actually given us. These people have been speaking and been fighting for us. And so now we are here again today. We don't want this generation to fail again. And that is why Oneafricaforum is here. And I'm sure we'll make the difference we want to make. Thank you very much, Mr. Seun.
Oh, thank you for having me on the show, Prince Leo.
Prince Walter, Mr. Walter. Our convener is Mr. Ancient.
Okay. Thanks for having me on the show. First of all, let me apologize for being late to the forum. Today is also my show on the radio, which ends at noon. Earlier on, when I tested this service, I thought it was like Google Meet with a website like StreamYard, but it has its own app. So when I wanted to enter the meeting, it directed me to download the app, so it took some time to get all that. You know, and I just finished my radio at noon as well, so that was why there was a bit of a delay with me getting on with you guys. Secondly, I don't like to be addressed as Mr. For the simple reason that my father, for the simple reason that my father used to say, I have not lost my star. I have not missed my star, so I'm not a me. You know, my star is still very much intact, and all our stars in Africa must be intact. You know, in Yoruba, so that is better for me. You just say Seun. You know, I don't really like all these Western, sir, Mr. You know, I like to keep things formal. And for Africa, formal is informal. Anyway, that's aside. Now let's move on. So the topic of the day today, you know, is something that is really dear to me. Can you hear me? Am I on time? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you clearly. We can hear you.
The network is used.
So I don't know if it's the network at my end or if it is everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now, guys? Am I back online?
Yes, you're back on the
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, I can hear you now.
I was just wondering. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So that was Nigerian communications for you. You know, we pay the highest in Africa for data, and this is what we get. You know. So let's get on to it real quick. Please, if you stop hearing me, I know my manager is on the thing. So Ayo, in case I go off and I don't know that it has cut off, can you please call me on my, in fact, I don't even know. Because, okay, perfect. So the topic for today, advocacy, the responsibility, advocacy, the responsibility of the Y3DG. You know, first of all, I want us to, as African people, remove all the isms when we speak to ourselves. Isms when we speak to ourselves is not that we don't recognize or respect isms, but that we don't use it as the defining foundations where our dialogues will take off from. We can only begin to do that when we as African people have defined what those isms are for ourselves, not these so-called universal definitions that they all run under. So ageism is the one I'm touching on right now, that we as African people cannot organize based on a demographic only. All our liberation movements, our liberation theories must be all-encompassing. So yes, youth has the energy, the drive, but we need the wisdom of our elders. We need their resources and their experience. You understand? We can bring the will. We, the young people, can bring the energy. We can bring the drive. We can even bring the focus. You understand? So there has to be a new, because the leaders of Africa, you know, well, not the misleaders of Africa. The misleaders of Africa, they have been able to, you know, destroy the sanctity of what it means to be an elder in Africa. Because an elder is not only about authority in Africa. Being an elder in Africa is the most empathetic position to be. So the elders in Africa are those of us that think about everything before ourselves. That is what it means to be an elder in Africa. Not this selfish bastardization that we see as a reflection of elders in our society today. So I want to tell young people, just before I start this, that we must not allow for this feel bad, because they are really the minority in Africa. You know, these rulers, because that's, at best they are rulers, at worst they are misleaders. You know, they do not represent the true spirit of the African people. Those political and business elites today in Africa are descendants of the African slave trader. We have to understand that the people running Africa today are the spiritual descendants of the slave trader. See, that spirit that drove that slave trader to sell his brothers for gin, they were just mesmerized by things. These people, this group of Africans that have always been mesmerized by things and found outside validation for that behavior, are those still ruling us today, and we cannot use them as a yardstick. Just the way we cannot use the misdirected young people in Africa as the yardstick of all African young people, you know. So, in our embracing the totality of what we are, good and bad, in our complete understanding of it, because there must be understanding, means that our first responsibility as young people, right, must be to know Africa. It cannot be only that we are in love with the continent. It cannot only be that, Uhuru, Ubuntu, brotherhood, and all these things that all these slogans that we chant, cannot be based on our emotions alone. To love Africa today is to know Africa without putting in the effort to know. Know that to know it, then you cannot truly love it. Because then in your love cannot even become toxic to the continent. In your own thinking that you are doing what is right, you might be doing what is wrong because you didn't take the time to know. It is important that young people know Africa. And why must it be a personal? This should be a societal drive. This issue, this should be a policy driven by government. You've gone to school as an African in Africa, then why am I saying no Africa? Is because many of you will have realized that our education is not African. See, this is where our enslaved cousins have more advantage over us. Our enslaved cousins could see clearly that the education was white, run by white men and women for white privilege. So they opened what is called, what's the word I'm looking for? They opened what is called the Pan-Africanist schools there. So their children went to African schools in the weekend. That's why many of the great Pan-Africanist scholars that we have in the world today are from the West. But we in Africa, you know, you see a school with black teachers, black owner, black government. We forgot that the education in that school was not African. So depriving us of knowing Africa as we grew. So we must now do that for ourselves. It is the first responsibility. It is the most important social responsibility. Now, the second most important, and I feel the final, is because I think that the two things missing in the equation of African people, young people, old people, any people, is these two things. That we love Africa without knowing it. And the second is the socio-political, spiritual problem. And that is that we all house the oppressor in our being. I don't know if anybody here has studied Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed. It touches on this a lot, and that's why I first of all spoke on the education, the knowing, right? What we know now is the oppressor. What we know now is the spirit of the oppressor that has been introjected into us, projected by society through education. And Paulo Freire gets it right. He says it is because we are educated by our elites. And in our case, our elites are our oppressor. So you are sent to school to be an oppressor. Even if you don't understand it, the spirit is put in you through the banking system of knowledge. That's why, you know, we African people, we go to school, you know, You might go through, like in Nigeria, you can go through your entire first 12 years of primary and secondary education without ever hearing the word oppression in your classroom, or hearing the word injustice or police brutality. You know, but they tell us to find the square root of some figure or the square of the area of a trapezium. I don't know when last the area of a trapezium helped me to solve any problem in my life today as an African. You understand? So this banking system of education is used to put the information that the oppressor needs to program your mind. So we all leave school, and they also control all the other institutions of influence, you know, be it media, religion, education. And these three institutions in Africa, they feed themselves, you know. And what do they feed themselves with? An anti-people propaganda, an oppressor-serving propaganda, which we all, you know, assimilate, imbibe, you know, due to its proliferation. Is everywhere. You know, so for example, I don't know if people watch a lot of Nigerian films. If you watch a lot of Nigerian films, you find your brother is trying to kill you, your father is trying to kill you, then at the end of the day, one government official saves you. You know, turning the script on its head. You go to the church, it's the same thing. You have to pray against all these Africans that want to kill you, that hate you. You know, listen to our music, it's the same. You know, if you are poor, you are nothing. You know, only the rich people are something and all of that. So our responsibility, truly, is that we must embrace the liberator within and exorcise the oppressor within. No, this is us right now at this stage of African people must begin to self-evaluate. Those things we do that entrench, enable the oppressor. Because I put it to you, young African people, that you are going to be young professionals one day. If many of you here are not already professionals. And it is only through the African professional that oppression gets to the African poor. Because it is through the banker that the money is laundered. The police and army that bring down brutality upon the people are African professionals. Those working in the power sector, keeping us in darkness. The civil service. Everybody is a professional. But they are making sure that the oppressor's will and spirit gets to the people. Why? It is because they also house the oppressor. They are. And they validate the spirit. So we as African people today must begin to exercise this spirit and refocus our allegiance to the people of this country, or of Africa, of the continent, or whatever country that we are from. It is no longer okay for you to say, I was just doing my job. Because your responsibility is not to your office. Your responsibility primarily is to your community. But how many of us sit back, relax, because of our salary, are willing to work to the death against the progress of our own communities? How many of us are judges that sit down in the court and sentence our brothers and sisters unjustly? You know, in Africa today, still 500 years under this oppressive system in Africa here, parents don't allow their children to express themselves because that's how we've been taught. The colonial master, being the first point of contact between the African professional and this new world, taught him a way that was not the true way. Taught him in a way of slave master and slave, and normalized that relationship as if it was the proper way to be. So the Nigerian professionals have always normalized the slave master and slave relationship in anywhere that our relationships manifest itself in our society. Be it between our husband and wife, be it between parents and children, be it between seniors and juniors in school, you know, the position of authority is a position to oppress. So even our children, so this is one of the things I want to say to people, like when you see that police are beating up young African people for having dreadlock, tattoos on their skin, this is because this is a form of expression. And you know the kind of people that are not allowed to express themselves? Slaves, man. Only slaves are not allowed to express themselves. So let's ask ourselves, why are we not allowing our children to express themselves towards the way they feel? Who taught us that? We are normalizing the slave mentality in that child. Because that is where it starts. So our responsibility must be to exercise these things amongst ourselves that enable the oppressors to thrive. The true pillars of oppression in African society lies on the African professionals and the young people in Africa. What are our dreams and aspirations? You bring 20 young African people together, tell them, give me your 5 ambitions. Give me your 5 major dreams in life. Say, I want to get married, I want to have money, have kids, build a house, take care of my parents, or buy cars, or this. No, none of these people will say, oh, the liberation of Africa as a cogent dream, as a viable dream. You ask a 16-year-old African what his dreams are, consumerist dreams, materialistic. Wait for that 16-year-old to be 50. Then go and meet him again at the age of 50 and say, what do you want to accomplish? He will tell you the same thing. I want to marry. If you are married, I want more money. I want cars. I want to build a company. As if we are content with the situation that we are in Africa today. So, I always, as much as possible, when I engage with motherland people, I want to say to us that we have our power. The question we should ask, and that's why I joined this forum, is because of the title, the responsibility, right? Because many people think when I speak, I'm talking about right and wrong. Oh, Seun is blaming the Nigerian professionals. I'm a banker. Why is he blaming me? Well, I'm into real estate. Why is he blaming me for homelessness? I'm not blaming you. What I'm saying is not in the context of right or wrong, but in the context of cause and effect, action and reaction. This is how all African people must listen to me. I will be the last person in this world to judge my fellow Africans or to be judgmental when it comes to African issues. But when I speak, it is cause and effect. That if we act like this, don't be surprised if things turn out like this. Your action paved way for this to happen, and that's just facts. So that is now left for you to go into your heart, go into your soul, meditate, say, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not taking responsibility? You see, immediately African people can truly, honestly start asking themselves, what is holding me back from taking responsibility for my nation? They will begin to see the oppressor within, and we can exercise him. Because immediately those excuses will start coming up. Oh, my job. Oh, access. Influence, privilege. You understand? These abstract things that mean everything in today's world. You know, we use these abstract things. Seems like somebody was having a good time. Wow. Anyway, you know, so we use these abstract things. Are you guys there?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Perfect. So we use these abstract things, you know, and we mortgage our tangibles for them. And they are not even promised. You know, they are not promised. They are not given. Oh, you can make it if you try. You can make it. That's what we mortgage our future for. You know, you can make it if you try. You know, and for that we continue to let this wheel turn. So taking responsibility as motherland people, for me, is something that is very, very important and starts within us. It starts from us. our freedom of expression, nobody can take away your freedom of expression if you decide yourself that you want to speak. See, many of us are silent in Africa, not because our mouth is padlocked, not because there's a thread running through our lips. Our mouth is silent because of our pocket, our stomach. Many people have attached their mouths to their stomach and their pocket. You understand? So, for me, I feel that those are the things amongst ourselves that we must decide. Oh, is it okay that I shut my mouth up for my stomach, for my own selfish being, selfish reasons, or I stand for what is the greater good, so that my own child doesn't have to make this decision in future, you know. So that being said, you know, that's my little summation about us as African people, the responsibility for us in this generation and in this time, and this generation whom I have dubbed the liberation generation, I believe would accomplish this, because we've accomplished so much with so little already. And now it's just for us to exorcise the oppressor within, so that we can become full liberators of our people, to take the responsibility of Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Seun Kuti. Thank you very much. What a mind-blowing session, you know. I've been seeing comments coming in.
I've destroyed my phone. People owe me one phone.
Sorry. No problem. A lot of comments have been coming in and saying they are very... It was a mind-blowing session anyway. And I hope people have questions. Before I move on, please, if you have a question, just type it in and get ready to ask your question. Now, when you were talking about the education system, when you talk about how they've educated us to what we know now, I quickly wanted to ask, indirectly, are you saying that Africa should adopt our own educational system?
Yes, Africa must adopt its own worldview. You know, there is no such thing as universal worldview. What is good for one man is not necessarily good for everybody. You know, so the idea of liberal universalism is one of the big chains that they used to hold Africa down. You know, so yes, definitely we need to we need to validate our own worldview through our educational system. Because as it is today, the African educational system validates the worldview of outsiders. You know, there's nothing African children come out of that relationship with that makes them stronger. You know, as an African child, you are born to make history. All people are born to make history. It is this weak education that creates the African child that submits his historical, his history-making tendency. He submits it willingly to a system that doesn't care about him. You know.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, if you have a question, be ready and be available to ask again. So before we move on to other people, when you mentioned you talked about the education, then the religion. Where does the religion come into this whole menace and this whole issue Africa is currently facing?
Yeah, you know, for me, religion is a very personal affair, religion and spirituality. The problem I have with religion in Africa is with religious leaders in Africa. I don't really have problem with the religious African people, because religion is something that people need when they need it. It's just part of human. Everybody needs a certain kind of spirituality. It's established because that's the only way we can reconcile our existence. You know, be it God, be it cosmos, be it, you know, even atheists, you know, believing in the energy, all that interconnectivity of all things and all of that. Everybody needs to reconcile our existence with something, you know. So for me, religion is the religious leaders. The narrative of the religious leaders in Africa is what is detrimental to the spiritual souls of African people. I mean, religious leaders could, you know, empower the Africanness of their people while being Christians, while being Muslims. You know, I mean, this has been done so many. I mean, even Christianity, you know, was African and Middle Eastern religions reconstructed to fit European worldview. You understand? So, for me, our religious leaders are the ones to blame here, you know, and our ability to liberate our people from the mental and psychological bondage that they've been held by these people. To break that bondage, you know, is one of the tasks of this generation. And that comes from also being able to develop our nations. You know, these people have so much hold on the people of Africa because the people of Africa need God more often than everybody else. You know, you are sick, you need God. You are hungry, you need God. You can't move, you are stuck. You need, you know, people's lives here are so traumatic. You know, without any social safety net, that, you know, God has to come into play. And unluckily for us, we have so many of these oppressors in religious form, you know, who take advantage of the situation of the people, you know. So I think this is where the issue is. And, you know, religion in itself, you know, yes, foreign religion is a problem in Africa, but it is a problem because of the way the religious leaders of Africa utilize the religion. You know, I'm not going to say we should blame people or tell them to be Christian or Muslim because you are, but people must be Africans first. Before you're a Christian, you must be African first. Before you're a Muslim, you must be African first. We can no longer have nations where our leaders are more Christian than they are Nigerians or more Muslim than they are Nigerians. You know, I normally give when I talk about this, I use an analogy, you know, to let people understand why things cannot be like that. For example, you know, the president of Nigeria is a strong Muslim, as everybody knows. So I was saying to people, I say, where is this music coming from? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, we're here.
There's some music.
We can hear you.
Okay. Can you hear? Okay. So, you know, I give an analogy and I say to people, I say, Muhammad Buhari is the president of Nigeria. Muhammadu Buhari. Let's imagine that a nuclear bomb has escaped from a silo in America. And this nuclear bomb, you know, it has gone rogue. They can't control it. And it is stuck on two coordinates. You know, it's stuck on two coordinates. Mecca, Saudi Arabia, or Lagos, Nigeria. And I represent, let's ask the president of Nigeria, that a bomb is coming from America. They can't stop it. It is locked on two coordinates. Lagos, Nigeria, or Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Where do you think our president is going to pick for that bomb to land?
Is this for us to answer?
No, I don't even want you to answer. The fact that this is a viable question in Africa, the fact that this question it makes sense to ask this kind of question of our leaders is why religion is wrong in Africa. You understand?
Yes.
So that is the problem of religion in Africa.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. That's a very important. That's a very vital question. I think we'll have to put out there. Okay. Blossom, you said you have a question. Blossom, please, can you ask the question?
Thank you so much, sir. This was actually very mind-blowing and mind-opening. The statement that you made that really touched me was, who taught you that? So, my question goes, with regarding to the renewal of our mindset, do you have any measures that you can actually give us on how we can change and renew our mindset as Africans? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that's simple. Where do I start? I mean, the path is quite, what would I put it? The path to your mental liberation is very, very personal. It is not something that anybody can actually direct. What can be done for you is that the fire can be lit in you, the spark. And if you are lucky, like I am, you meet a great person that will become a great mentor to you. And that mentor, due to his own experience, can watch your path and then understand where you are in your journey and help you to find certain things, certain markers to help you progress on from that point. You know, I've been lucky to have that, I have to say. Because, you know, many people believe, oh, Seun Kuti is Fela's son, and Fela was his mentor, Fela taught him. No, but my dad died, I was 14. And even when my dad was alive, I didn't really believe many of the things he used to say. Because, what? Just because of what I said before. The institutions of influence in our society, the religious institutions, my educational institutions, the schools I went to, and media, you know, television, nobody said what my father was saying. There was no validation of what he was saying in society. So growing up with him, I didn't believe, you know, like, oh, what's this man saying, man? Fella should calm down, man. This is not what the world is like, you know. Why is he talking like this? But after my father's death, I'm lucky he had said those things. So coming across those information took me back home to say, what? Wait a minute. So how much of this is true? How much of this is fact? How much of what my father was saying was actually true? Then I go on the journey, on my own journey, searching, reading, learning, experiencing, you know. And I am still in the process because it's never ending. I'm still in the process. I'm discovering, I'm learning. You know, I'm trying to understand, make sense of it all, see my position, you know, and continue to adapt and be dynamic in this system that is actually built to exclude me and those like me, and everything built in this system. When they say institution in whiteness, institution simply means basically the exclusion of Africans. You know, banking institutions means African people are excluded from the monetary system, even in their own countries. Because when my friends in America say, oh, the banks don't give us loans because they are white owned, I'm like, come to Africa. All the banks in Africa don't give us loans too, and they are all black owned. So it's the institution of banking itself that is discriminatory and racist. It is not the banker. The banker, regardless of who operates a bank in this world, black people must be marginalized, which is there in the DNA of the bank, you know. So what I can do is give advice of books that can help in the journey. Oh, you want to read this book, read that book. But to say what are those things that I can do, it's impossible for me to even answer that, because the pillars of oppression also that have been constructed in our mind is different in everybody. You know, what pillars do you have to collapse for the complete cognitive dissonance to take place for you to break out of this shackle? You know, I don't know, because I'm not in your mind. This is something you have to discover yourself. But what I can say is, heed our ancestors, heed our elders. You know, Marimba Ani's Yurugu is a great work. I don't know if you read that or anybody here, but Yurugu, an Afrocentric critique of European cultural thought and behavior. That was an amazing book, and that was the book, I have to say, completely decolonized my mind. That was the book that gave me the strength, you know, to be able to validate my own existence by my reality, not by any theory of anybody writing in any white university, you know. So that for me was a great, you know, but many things I've read allowed me to accept that too, I have to say, you know. So, I mean, Chiwenzu's The West and the Rest of Us, great historical document, you know, showing us the things that has been done, how they do it, and what we must, I mean, so much work has been done by our ancestors. You know, that's why they are kept away from our educational system. You know, that's why the books of these great men are not part of the must read, you know, in every university course that you go through, you know, you know, what they call the required reading material, you know, for every course. You know, you find that our own books are not there. The books of these great men are not there, because they don't want us to know those things about ourselves, to shake up this You know, so I wish you a safe journey, as I would say, you know, because it is your journey. It is your journey, and don't trust anybody that says that they can, you know, direct you in this journey, because everybody's reality and experience is quite unique in this world, you know. And to truly be a liberator, to truly, yes, you can be part of something, organization, get a mentor, but the core work, the core of your work will be yours, will be so individual, so unique to you. Nobody else could actually show you how to do that.
Okay, thank you very much. Blossom, did that validate your question?
Exactly, or if you want to follow up, you know.
Okay,
Thank you so much. You actually answered my question. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. And Seun, when you were also talking, when you were answering our question, you made mention of, you said something about you really did, because you were so young then, the things your father said, the things your father was fighting for, you were not really privileged to understanding them basically because of the educational system, the school you were going, and what the media were saying. The media did not validate it, right?
Yeah.
Did I get that correctly?
Correct.
Okay. So because of that word now, the media, I want to also, like, what is the role the media, their narrative they are playing? How can we actually make it different? How, because there was no validation of that's what your father said, and a lot of people did not gain from it, as you did not. And now we are doing the same struggle, we're facing the same struggle. The media is not giving us the right narrative, and I'm sure a lot of people are also not getting or learning from what we are trying to achieve. So how can we reposition ourselves as the young, dynamic, and determined generation?
Well, as I said, I mean, positioning ourselves, that's a good way to put it. We position ourselves by positioning ourselves. I like the way you put it, because you see, like when people say, oh, police brutality, what do we do about it? I say, we stand up to them. If we see a group of cops trying to beat our brother down for nothing, and we are just standing there looking, we are complicit. Let's go there and say, what's happening? Stop it. We can end it that way. So what you said is exactly, once we decide to take action, we've decided. So, as I said before, we have to go and look for those things that are stopping us from taking this action. It's a conversation you must have with yourself. You know, I'm not the one that will have the conversation with you. You must have it with yourself. You know, and then that will, you know, how would I put it? That will, sorry, you broke up. I couldn't. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
My phone is acting up. I don't know.
Okay, go ahead, please, if you're still with us.
Yeah, I'm still with you. So, yeah, so that's what I think. As I said before, I think the question I've kind of answered, because it's difficult for people to say, rather it's easy for people to say, the media is not doing enough. We are also the ones patronizing the media and all of that, right? So we have the conscious decision. We want to consume, the action we want to take, what we want to do. We have to be deliberate. We have to be deliberate, you know.
Okay. Thank you very much. If anyone else has a question, so please feel free to ask the question before we let Seun go now.
Thank you, Seun. Don't miss my style.
Thank you, Jerry. Somebody said the media is not something we can trust again these days. Very correct. And said we have to learn to be black. So I think we have to learn to be ourselves before we became anybody else.
Yeah, we have to learn to be African people once again. Yeah.
Okay.
So many people are so toxic. They act so toxic and claim they are being Africans, but you know they are not. They are just being toxic. You know, You know, like
true Africans are not toxic.
Yes, I mean, every culture has its toxic parts, but at least do the African part. You know, the African toxic if you're going to be toxic. Don't be toxic European and then you're claiming that you're African. You're an African. You know, many of that, you know, you see manifest in our personal relationship with our women. Many of these Christian and Muslim men using their Christian and Muslim ideologies to oppress our women, but claim it is African to do so. You know, whereas I always say to people, a woman's place is in the kitchen. This is a European proverb with no equivalent in any African language. So how dare you say subjugating your woman is an African thing to do when you yourself, you don't dress African, you don't eat African, you don't worship African, you don't do anything African except when it comes to subjugating your wife and your children. Then suddenly you're an African. That is not how to be African. You get the point?
Yeah, very well. Very well.
We can't pick and choose what side of Africa or what part of being African we want to be, you know.
Okay, thank you. So you've been in this struggle, you've been in this advocacy line long before some of us here, and we are definitely we know you've encountered so many challenges. Why you've also told us our responsibilities and how to position ourselves. We would love to also, if you can, inform us on some of the challenges we might face as Oneafricaforum, as a young advocate. One of the challenges we might encounter and the approach we must give to make sure we do not fall by the way.
The challenges of being a freedom fighter in Africa are many. You know, if I would use my family's experience, would I say, you know, you should expect imprisonment, death, destruction of property, and all of that, and all of that, and all of that. But what I want to say to you is this: forget that. It doesn't matter what obstacles are put in front of you. What matters is your own determination to see what you are doing through. You know, what I say to people is Africa is one of the most dangerous places, if not the most dangerous place to exist in the world. There's nowhere in the world more dangerous than Africa, man. But that doesn't stop African people from going out every day to hustle, to look for work, to get money to eat. Why? Because we've been told that is some activity worth our lives.